Let's see. Share screen. Let's share this one. I found I've been doing this for a few years now, and I have found this presentation I made a while ago, and I'm just going to use that one because not a lot has changed with the special programs here at ACPE in the past few years. Let me start presentation. I think this is the one. There we go. Okay, so I have been the special programs coordinator here at ACPE for quite a few years. I've moved into a new position, the default management specialist, and Nancy is going to be the one taking over this stuff, and then hopefully in the future another staff member is going to take it over from Nancy. But I'll be doing the presentation this year. So we've only got a couple special programs left at ACPE. One of them is the Win Brindle program, and this is a fisheries related program. If a student from Alaska is interested in pursuing a career anywhere in the fisheries industry, they're able to apply and receive this forgiveness, or sorry, this student loan. This actually is a little outdated. Students don't have to apply with the paper application on the website. They apply through Campus Store, just like a lot of our other education loans. Um, so they need to be in a fisheries related degree program. And that's basically the only requirement. They can receive up to the cost of attendance, which is a lot more than, even though a lot of our loan programs went up in their maximums this year, the financial aid office will put together a package for the student for their total cost of attendance, and this loan can cover everything. And so it's really easy for folks to pay for their education costs. It's got a low interest rate of 5%, and it's eligible for up to 50% forgiveness. So in order to get forgiveness, the students need to complete their degree, they got to return to Alaska, and they have to work in the related field that they got their degree for. Um, so each year after they've completed a year of work, they can apply for forgiveness, and they can get 10% of their total principal borrowed. So just the amount that they received. No interest is included in this, but they can get 10% each year for 5 years. So they can get a total of 50% forgiveness, which could be a pretty large amount of money when we're talking about they get their total cost of attendance covered with this loan. There are a couple common issues that we see pop up with this. Um, Students apply for the loan and they're not enrolled in a fisheries related program. Um, so this was a much bigger issue back when it used to be on our website where you could just click uh, on this loan program instead of one of our other loan programs. Now you kind of have to specifically ask for it and get directed uh, by somebody who knows that this is a fisheries related program, because students would apply for it and not be in a fisheries related program. So they're going into business, they see that 5% and the forgiveness attached to it, and then they want to apply for it. Now, there are a few students that have received this that aren't directly in a fisheries related field. So when we see an application come in and it's like fishery science or biology or something along those lines, no verification is needed. We can tell that that's a fishery related degree program and we can just approve the loan. But sometimes they'll come in with business or helicopter pilot, one of those things, and that's not like directly related to any kind of fisheries related program. So in those cases, we do ask that the borrower send in proof actually more of an explanation of how their degree program will help further the fisheries industry. And so we're pretty lenient on folks getting the loan. So as long as that's just their explanation is pretty clear, we can approve a loan. Um, but the second issue that we see is they need to work full time in a fisheries related field. So they need to return and work in the field in which they got their degree. So, for example, if a student goes and gets a fishery science degree and is just comes back to Alaska and works on a fishing boat, a fishing vessel, that doesn't count. Their work is not related to the degree that they received. If they can explain how it is, then we can approve those on a case-by-case basis, but um, it needs to be pretty directly uh, in their area of expertise. And then a few of they just need to work full time in the fisheries related field. And sometimes that is just the season of the employment. So for example, if they are researching the salmon life cycles and and they only need to go out for 8 months out of the year to do that, but it is full time for that position, that still counts for Win Brindle. So they don't have to work an actual full calendar year. But all this being said, the Win Brindle funding has stopped. It used to get funded by um, private donations from fishery companies throughout the state. And a few years ago, some things changed and we stopped getting any kind of donations for this program. So that has resulted in us just having um, a bucket of money that as soon as it runs out, it's gone, and it's the bucket's not getting filled up anymore. This program has seen a big decline in use, and so I think last year we had 1 or 2 students that actually went through with it, um, but it has seen a huge decline. And then once that money runs out, we're just going to stop offering it because we're not getting any kind of funding for it. Does anybody have any questions for the Win Brindle loan? Okay. It's a pretty small loan program, and we don't get a ton of questions about it from students in the state, but every now and then we'll get a student in there to get that loan. And it's a pretty good loan if you're going into fisheries related, and there's still money in the bucket. So if you guys hear of any students that are interested in this program, please feel free to point them in this direction. Next up, we have let's see here. We have, can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, weird. I cannot click. Oh, there we go. My button wasn't working. I thought maybe I froze up. Okay. Next, we have WWAMI. And WWAMI it stands for Washington, Wyoming, Alaska, Montana, and Idaho. And it's a medical education program that's run through the University of Washington. WWAMI students are chosen by the University of Alaska Anchorage Medical Program. So we don't have to receive applications and review and approve. UAA basically sends us a list of 20 students that they have chosen um, to be in the WWAMI program. And I believe that's going up next year or possibly the year after. I can't remember, but it's getting increased. So we've got 20 now, but we're going to have more in the future. And this is a loan that is equal to 50% of the WWAMI obligation for that year minus tuition and fees. And what that means is that there is a cost for each WWAMI student to participate in the program, and so we get that breakdown, and the student is required to pay tuition and fees. So likely they'll go out and get other kind of funding, or maybe they already have funds put away to cover their tuition and fees. Any excess of that, the state of Alaska pays. Um, it comes out to about um, 50,000 per student. And out of that 50% that the state of Alaska pays, um, the state of Alaska just automatically pays for half of that, and then the other half is passed on to the student in the form of a debt or a loan. And so the students will have approximately 25 to 26,000 for 2 of the years, and then a much lower amount for their final year. And I should say that WWAMI students for their first year don't receive any funds or any kind of debt for the state of Alaska because they are paying tuition and fees up at UAA. These WWAMI students, they complete their first year up at UAA. They're just paying tuition and fees. And then years 2, 3, and 4, they get to pick their own track where they want to go. But from that point on, they're paying um, the WWAMI obligation. So they're going to get loans from the state for years 2, 3, and 4. And like I said, years 2 and 3 are somewhere around 26 to 20, 25 to 26,000. Maybe it'll go up in the next few years. And then that last year is like 13,000. Students that go through the whole WWAMI program, they graduate, they'll go do their residency program somewhere, or perhaps they'll go into a fellowship if they want to get a specialization in some field. They want to be a heart doctor or any kind of specialization. They'll go do that. They'll go to their fellowships, and then they transfer into their repayment. These loans are eligible for up to 100% forgiveness, and that's principal and interest. And if the students do the loan correctly, they'll make 0 payments and get it all forgiven. And so in order to get forgiveness, they need to return to Alaska and work full time as a physician. Um, and if they are doing their residency or fellowship in the state of Alaska, that actually gets counted towards forgiveness. So if they go graduate from WWAMI and then go do their residency in Anchorage for 2 or 3 years, those 2 and 3 years can work towards their forgiveness benefits. And then students, while they're working to receive their forgiveness, they're also eligible for a deferment, so they don't have to be making any payments while they're working towards forgiveness. And then the amount of forgiveness that they receive is 20% per year for 5 years. So after each year that they complete work in Alaska, they get 20%. So after 5 years, they should have a zero balance with us. And they can actually go even a little quicker if they're working in a rural area. They get 33.33%. So they only have to work 3 years if they're working in a rural area. But the definitions for those two numbers that are there, the 7,500 and 3,500, if it's not connected by road to Anchorage, the community can be up to 7,500 people. And if it is connected, it can be up to 3,500 people. And that's what we consider rural for the WWAMI program. Some common issues we see with this, people contacting us to apply. If people want to apply for this program, they need to contact UAA Medical Program. And we don't get a whole lot of calls for that. Usually people that are WWAMI students or interested in WWAMI are already in this is a graduate program, so they're already in their undergrad, kind of guiding them towards WWAMI. So most of these folks are pretty aware of the program and working towards it already. Um, you cannot receive a refund on anything you have paid into this loan. So if for any reason these students make payments, like if they leave the program for a little bit and enter repayment and have to stay current and make payments, they can't get any of that money back. But any funds that they have left in their debt, they can receive forgiveness on. And then students in a residency or fellowship must apply to have their left school date extended. For this program, the students will graduate from WWAMI, but then they'll go into the residency and fellowship. And for this program, we consider people in their residency or fellowship to be in an in-school status. And so they apply for a forbearance that mimics in-school status, which means that for the WWAMI loan, in school is great because there's 0% interest while they're going to school. and then also they get their grace period after they've completed it. So on paper, it looks like these folks graduate once they leave their residency or fellowship. Does anybody have any questions about the WAMI program? Alrighty. Do we have one?
No, we do not in the chat box.
Alrighty. And last but not least, we've got Witchy, which can be one of our more confusing programs that we have, but it's a exchange program that we have. And so Witchy has three programs, or three big programs underneath us. They might have more programs, but three big ones. One is WUI, which is the Western Undergraduate Exchange, which a lot of folks know about. WRGP is a little less known. It's called the Western Regional Graduate Program. Those two programs are basically, if you're going to an eligible school in an eligible program, you apply to that school as a either WUI or WRGP student. And our office does not have a lot to do with those. Very rarely we'll get contacted to do a residency verification in which we would send the students a form to fill out to verify their residency. But basically that's the school choosing them, and we really don't do a whole lot with those two programs. Now the last one there, the PSEP, the Professional Student Exchange Program, we do a lot with. We are the certifying officials, ACPE is. And so what this is the state of Alaska supports 7 fields in PSEP. So students that are going towards dentistry, occupational therapy, optometry, pharmacy, physical therapy, physician assistant, or podiatry can apply. And what this is students are required to get certified by the state in the year prior to attending school. So if they're going to go next fall, they'd be applying right now. So not this current fall, but the following fall. You get certified. You just contact the state of Alaska. So they'd still contact ACPE, and then they would fill out a certification packet, which is a lot of information and basically a residency questionnaire verifying that you're an Alaska resident. Once they've been certified, they then apply to whatever school they want to go to. And there's only certain WICHE PSEP schools, and WICHE is Western schools. So it's a lot on this coast. And there's a few other schools that are included, but there's a list of schools that participate in WICHE PSEP out on the witche.edu website. And so students can go out there to see if the school and program that they're interested in even qualify for WICHE PSEP. But when they apply to their school, they can submit a copy of their acceptance letter, their WICHE, or their, sorry, there's the sorry, so the students apply to their schools, and when they're applying, they apply as a WICHE PSEP student. When they get certified, they enter all the schools that they're interested in applying to, and part of this our job is to go in, take a look at all the schools, verify that all the schools that they're thinking about going to are WICHE schools, and then putting them out on a database that WICHE has, that that the certifying state, which is us, and the schools can also go out and review. And so when we certify students on this database, we put all these schools in that the student's interested in going to. And then on the school side, when they receive a student and they accept a student that's a WICHE PSEP student, they can also go out to that same database and say that the student has applied and been accepted to their program. So that database is pretty cool. Then when they've chosen their school, the student has chosen their school, they submit a copy of their acceptance letter to us. This is kind of this lets us know which school that they are planning on attending, but we can also go out to that database and see the school has approved and accepted that student. And then after we receive an acceptance letter from the student, we send them a promissory note for the loan portion. And this is kind of where students get confused on uh, the program. I'm going to jump into that in just a second. Um,
Adam,
yeah,
if you don't mind, we have a question from Suzanne. Is this
yeah,
for undergraduate work or graduate?
this is for graduate. Sorry, yeah, this is a graduate program. So these are students that have already gone through their undergrad and are pursuing one of these 7 fields.
Thank you. We have another question from Noel. What about people who work as medical assistants? Do they fall into this field?
No, they would not. They would not. This is just this is a program specifically for those 7 fields.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. There are a couple of fields that are under this program that the state does not cover. One is veterinary medicine, and then another one is a medical degree, but um, they have to meet a certain requirements for the state to participate in that program. The medical one is not eligible because we have the WWAMI program, and then vet medicine is not because they do an analysis of um, the cost it costs or the cost for the students versus the potential income, and if it doesn't meet a threshold, the state doesn't approve it. But they review that every 2 years. And so in the next time that they review it, if they find that vet medicine does meet the requirements, then it can get approved. But for right now, it's specifically those 7 fields.
Thank you.
They reviewing them as the commission. So the commission reviews the 7 fields. And so we put together a little document that says we recommend approving the 7 that are currently being supported, and then we make a decision on the last one, on the vet medicine.
Our commission.
Our commission. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. No problem. And then, so the loan portions where this one gets a little confusing. So the loan that the students receive for this program is the support fee to be in PSEP. So for each student, there is a cost each year just to participate in PSEP. And that cost is a set amount, and it's different for each field that the student is going into. The students generally receive a reduced tuition at the schools. It is up to the school, though, what tuition they want to charge their WICHE PSEP students. So this isn't like physician, I'll just take physical therapy. So physical therapy, the support fees, I believe it's about $18,000 a year. And so the student will receive a debt for $18,000. But that doesn't necessarily mean that $18,000 is getting sent to the school and the students and that's $18,000 is getting applied to the student's account. The $18,000 is just to participate in the program. Now, on the other side, the school chooses what tuition that they charge their students, and generally what they'll do is offer a lower tuition. And to make things even more confusing, the schools generally just reduce the tuition by the amount of the support fee. So to the student, it looks like they're receiving $18,000 loan, but that's not for every school. The school chooses the tuition. And so uh, it can get a little confusing for the student. Eligibility, the students, the main benefit for this program is that the schools hold open spots specifically for WICHE PSEP students from other WICHE states. So instead of going up against everybody to get into a dentistry program at the University of Washington, they'll only be going up against other WICHE students trying to get into that dentistry program. So it's a much smaller pool of people. And so naturally they would have a better chance of getting in. So that's the main purpose of it. It's not a cost savings program. Students are often confused because this loan doesn't take care of tuition at all. as a result of being in this program, they might get that lower tuition, reduced tuition at the school, but the loan doesn't get applied towards tuition. And then this program is not always cost effective. So what we tell students to do is, depending on the field that they're going into, they know what their support fee loan is going to be for that year. So they take that amount. We'll take 18,000 for physicians or physical therapists, 18,000. And then the student should contact the school and ask the school, what tuition do you guys charge WICHE PSEP students? And the school will give them a number. And then they would add that 18,000 on top of that, just to get an idea of what their total cost of attendance would be. Because they're going to have to take care of whatever cost the school tells them, and then also they're going to get a debt with the state of Alaska for that 18,000. So we tell them that. And then the question we get a lot at that point in the conversation is, if it's not cost effective, what's the point? Why would I go through all this program? Why would I go through all the hoops to get into this program if it's not cost effective? And students, like I said before, you're eligible for those the few seats that they hold open specifically for WICHE PSEP students, and then also students in need of additional funding for to supplement federal funds. So if the student's looking for a large education loan, this could be a great option for them. However, since the state of Alaska, increased our loan amounts, so what they would do is they would just weigh this against other education loans that they could possibly get, and then at that point, they're just comparing interest rates and options, right? So we always tell students, go for free money first, then federal funds, and then anything additional to that you need to supplement, then you're just shopping around for interest rates and options on your supplemental education loans. So this as well is a very small program. We generally get anywhere from 5 to 10 people interested in it a year. And then I believe we had one person last year actually go through the program and get it. And that one person is they did exactly what we said. They contacted the school, and the school indicated that they offered WICHE PSEP students in-school tuition. And so when the student took that in-school tuition and then added the 18,000, it was still much less than regular out-of-state tuition. And so that student situation, it was very cost effective to be in the program. So it's not guaranteed not to be cost effective. The student just needs to do a little bit of research and find out what their total cost is going to be to see if it's a cost effective program for them. And then, of course, if they need help getting into the program, this could be very beneficial to them. But a lot of the students that I talk to are already accepted into programs. And so we don't see that a whole lot where people are using that benefit, which unfortunately, that's the main benefit of the program. So, okay, I have talked enough. Anybody have any questions on any of the programs that we talked about today? I would be happy to answer them. Okay, perfect. I went
Adam?
28 minutes. I think that's the longest I've ever gone.
It appears so. Thank you so much, Adam. We don't have any questions in the chat box. So I appreciate your time today and Nancy's time. And I shared the links to our website and also to WICHE, a professional student exchange program, and WUI in the chat box. But if we get any other questions, I will certainly let you know. Thank you,
Please
Adam.
do so. No problem. You have a great day.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everybody.
You too.